praises are for Allah, and Durood and Salam on our beloved Prophet Muhammad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Today, inshallah, we make dua for the late Muhammad Sadiq, that is the father of Sister Mo, and our brother who are good supporters here at this masjid. We also make dua for Aisha Ar-Rahman, that is one of the uncles of Nafran, who is also a good supporter here. I want to thank Khalid Tambar Nafran for all that you do here for us at the masjid. We also announced the passing of Sister Jamila Ali. The wake will be held here tonight at Masjid Ar-Rahman at 7:30 p.m. and the janazah is at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning in order to facilitate the opening of the madrasa at 9:30. The janazah will be at 9 a.m. sharp. She was formerly the sister-in-law of the late Abdul Munir Khan from Windsor Forest, a very prominent religious family who we know. Sister Jamila, I know her and all her sisters. Inshallah, we feel blessed to have her wake and her janazah here, inshallah. Our khatib for today is Sheikh Adeeb Zamaan, who is the Imam of Masjid al-Sadiq. Inshallah, he will come up shortly. I want to thank our printer guy, Ar-Rahman Nasir, for doing the beautiful timetable for Ramadan, which we will distribute next week, Friday, inshallah. Some of you will get your mail. We will be getting out the flyers, so some of you will receive it at home. As I said, and the others will get it at the masjid, inshallah. We have food distribution today. Some perishable items, so we ask that all of you, many of you, please go to the back there and see Brother Mahmoud and the other brothers who will be taking part in the food distribution. Again, we continue to be grateful and thankful to all of you for your kind support. Assalamu alaikum.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعليكم السلام. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير وإليه المصير. وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الله به الأمة وجاهد في الله جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين وصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، يقول الله تعالى: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we glorify Him, we exalt Him, we seek His aid and His forgiveness. Whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides, no one can misguide. And whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevents from guidance, then no one can guide that person. We seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the evil of our souls and the evil of our actions. And we advise everyone, including myself, to have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the ninth year of the Hijrah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he embarked on the very last expedition that he would partake in. And this was not just the last, but this was the largest and last expedition, military expedition that he would partake in, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this was known as Ghazwatu Tabuk, the Ghazwa, the Battle of Tabuk. And because this was a very important Ghazwa, and it was to a land very far away, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam changed things up in this battle, and that he did something that he never did before, which was that he informed everyone beforehand, we are going out to battle. And this is not something he used to do before, and this is not necessarily something good for battle strategy that you inform what you're going to do before, and this is why he never would do that. But because this battle required, and this expedition required a lot of preparation, he had to inform those who intend to go out that we are going on this long and difficult expedition so that they can be prepared and they can make whatever preparations are needed to join the army in this battle. And so many of the Sahaba made their preparations and they gave their charities to fund the army, and the army went out with over or around 20,000 or 30,000 soldiers, the largest army that had ever been sent out up to that time. Despite Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam giving a lot of advance notice that this army would go out, a number of people remained behind. And the majority of those people who remained behind, they were munafiqun, they were hypocrites who had no intention of going out. And they came with excuses afterwards. And amongst those who stayed behind were those who were just lazy. They intended to go out, but they were lazy. And they did not make the adequate preparations, and so the army left, and they were not able to join the army. And those who remained behind, Allah Azza wa Jalla calls them in the Quran al-mukhallasun, those who lag behind. And He also calls them al-mu'adhirun, those who came with excuses. Because afterwards, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam returned back, they presented all sorts of excuses. This is why I did not attend. I wasn't able to do this. This happened. This came up. And they presented all their excuses. And so Allah Azza wa Jalla calls them al-mu'adhirun, those who came with excuses. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, addressing those who lag behind, He speaks about them in a verse in Surah At-Tawbah. And this verse is a very powerful verse, and it can be used as a life lesson, not for just this event, but anything in general. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ لَأَعَدُّوا لَهُ عُدَّةً. If they had really intended to go out, they would have prepared. If they had intended to go out, they would have made the preparations. But they really didn't want to go out. And so Allah Azza wa Jal informs us that if you really want to do something and achieve something, you will prepare for it. And if you don't prepare for it, then you really don't want that thing. وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ لَأَعَدُّوا لَهُ عُدَّةً. If they really had intended to go out, they would have made the preparations beforehand. And they wouldn't have the excuses that they came up with. And this is a life lesson that we can take. Anything that you want, you have to prepare for it, and you have to plan for it. And as we know, we are approaching the blessed month of Ramadan. In a few weeks, we are going to enter into the blessed month of Ramadan. What have we done to prepare for it? Have we prepared for it? Or are we going to be like who Allah says about those who really didn't want to go out? وَلَوْ أَرَادُوا الْخُرُوجَ لَأَعَدُّوا لَهُ عُدَّةً. If they really wanted to go out, they would have prepared for it. So, it is incumbent upon every Muslim to make the preparations for the month of Ramadan so that you can have a successful Ramadan. And in reality, if you're preparing now, you're actually very late. It's very late to prepare right now. But it's still better than waiting until the beginning of Ramadan. But even now, it's very late to prepare for the month of Ramadan. The early generations, they used to begin their formal preparations for Ramadan, not in the month of Sha'ban, but in the previous month, in the month of Rajab. As it has been said, Rajab shahr al-zuhur, wa Sha'ban shahr al-saqi, wa Ramadan shahr al-hasad. They used to say that Rajab, the month has passed already. This is the month to sow the seeds. And Sha'ban is the month to irrigate the crop, and Ramadan is the month to reap the harvest. So already it's very late to prepare for Ramadan, but it is better late than never. If you haven't prepared yet, then start preparing now. And this preparation is something that is due upon communities as well as individuals. And we know that the communities are preparing. This masjid, we know for sure. And other masajid, they're making the preparations. They're working very hard. Those who are managing the masajid, they're working very hard and making the preparations. And if you ask any of them, and have you planned Ramadan already, they will say we've already begun planning months ago. They haven't wasted any time. The planning for Ramadan began months ago. Those who are leading the salah, who have to stand in front and lead the salah in Salat al-Tarawih, you ask them, have you began preparing? They will say, I already began preparing a long time ago, maybe a month or two ago. So it is incumbent upon communities as well as individuals to begin the preparation for the month of Ramadan. And this is crucial if you want to have a successful Ramadan. And this preparation is both in logistical preparation, such as what time am I going to get up in the morning? What time do I have to set my alarm so I can eat the suhoor in time? What time do I have to leave for the masjid so I can get parking? Right? The logistical preparations. What time do I have to go to bed so I can get a good night's sleep, wake up in the morning? These are logistical preparations, and this is important. But more important than that is the spiritual preparation. How am I going to earn Allah's mercy in the month of Ramadan? How am I going to earn Allah's forgiveness in the month of Ramadan? What am I going to do? How am I going to approach the Quran in the month of Ramadan? How am I going to approach Sadaqah in the month of Ramadan? How am I going to approach any other good deeds in the month of Ramadan, which will bring me closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and allow me to benefit fully from the month of Ramadan and earn Allah's forgiveness and His mercy? So these are questions that we need to be asking now, or we should already ask those questions now, so that we can come into Ramadan prepared. So inshallah, we want to give a few advices in this khutbah on some of the ways we can prepare for the month of Ramadan, some of the practical advices and tips to prepare for the month of Ramadan. Number one, we should not assume that we will make the month of Ramadan. Nothing is guaranteed. We're not guaranteed even the next few minutes, much less the next few hours, or the next few days, or next few weeks. We're not guaranteed anything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can take our souls at any moment. And so no one is guaranteed to come into the month of Ramadan. The brother just announced his janazah, right, that will be prayed tomorrow. How many people thought or think that they will reach the month of Ramadan and they will not reach it. How many people witnessed the month of Ramadan last year and they're not around this year to witness the month of Ramadan? So don't assume that you will meet the month of Ramadan. And this is why it is encouraged that we consistently and constantly ask Allah to allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. And it has come in some hadith. These hadith are da'ifa. They have weakness in them, but the meaning is good, and you can still make these du'as. Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. This has come in some of the hadith in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has been reported to have asked Allah for blessings in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban, and to allow him to reach the month of Ramadan. So this is something that we should be doing consistently. Oh Allah, allow us to reach the month of Ramadan. And it is not guaranteed that we will reach the month of Ramadan with life, and nor is it guaranteed that we will reach the month of Ramadan with health. We might reach the month of Ramadan with life, but we might not reach it with health. We might not be able to fast this Ramadan. Many of us, especially some of our older brothers and sisters, they previously were able to fast in the month of Ramadan, and they are no longer able to fast. And this can happen to anybody. Anybody can get sick. Something can happen. You can have an accident, and you're not able to fast in the month of Ramadan. So this is not anything that is guaranteed. Even if you meet and reach the month of Ramadan with life, you might not reach it with health to be able to fast in the month of Ramadan. As for those brothers and sisters who are older, who reach an older age, or those who will be prevented from fasting due to reasons not within their control, then we say to them that we have good news for you. Even if you're not able to fast, Allah's mercy is wide. And it comes in the hadith, Rasulullah says, إِذَا مَرِضَ الْعَبْدُ أَوْ سَافَرَ كُتِبَ لَهُ مِنَ الْعَمَلِ مَا كَانَ يَعْمَلُهُ وَهُوَ صَحِيحٌ مُقِيمٌ. In the hadith, Rasulullah says that if a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they become ill, or they travel, they go on a journey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write for them the reward of the deeds that they used to do when they were healthy and when they were a resident. So those brothers and sisters who are no longer able to fast, or you have an issue that has come up that is preventing you from fasting, but you had that niyyah, you had that intention, and you used to fast previously, then inshallah give bear the glad tidings that you will still earn the reward of fasting. And this is from the blessings and mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another thing that we should be doing leading up to the month of Ramadan is doing as much good deeds as possible. And do not delay good deeds to the month of Ramadan. This is a trick and a ploy of the shaitan. The shaitan will come and he will say, you can delay that tawbah, repentance. You have a few weeks left until Ramadan. Wait until Ramadan, then ask Allah for forgiveness. Wait for Ramadan and then give that charity. Wait for Ramadan and then offer these extra prayers. And the shaitan will come and he will trick a person into delaying good deeds and saying that wait until you get to the month of Ramadan. This is very dangerous. This is very dangerous because what happens is somebody will delay their good deeds and they will wait till Ramadan and they want to pile up all the good deeds and do everything once Ramadan comes, and by the mid of Ramadan or even at the end of the first third of Ramadan, they're burnt out. They're not able to do any of the deeds that they were doing at the beginning because it's overwhelming for them and it's too much for them. So start doing good deeds now so that you can build the habit of doing good deeds, and you will not exhaust yourself and overwhelm yourself. So this is a trick of the shaitan that he wants you to delay. Don't do anything now, wait for Ramadan. And there's no problem in exerting yourself extra in Ramadan, in doing more in Ramadan. This is good. But don't completely neglect any good deeds until Ramadan comes. Because this is one of the tricks of the shaitan. So among the things that we can do is also to practice fasting. You can practice some fasting in the month of Sha'ban, and this is something beneficial, and it will help you and get you more acclimated to the fasting of the month of Ramadan. And this is from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it comes in the hadith that it was described that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not وَلَمْ أَرَهُ صَائِمًا مِنْ شَهْرٍ قَطْ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ مِنْ شَعْبَانٍ كَانَ يَصُومُ الشَّعْبَانَ كُلَّهُ كَانَ يَصُومُ شَعْبَانَ إلا قليلا. Comes in the hadith that they said that one of the companions said, I did not see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasting in any other month other than Ramadan, of the other 11 months, more than the month of Sha'ban. He used to fast almost the entire month of Sha'ban. So this is something that we can do. Get in a few practice fasts, 1 or 2 at least, to help you prepare and get that feeling of fasting before the month of Ramadan comes in. If you're not used to fasting, 1 or 2 is good. But avoid fasting directly before Ramadan, as this has come in the hadith, and which Rasulullah prohibits. Fasting 1 or 2 days right before Ramadan, except for the person who is a habitual faster. Comes in the hadith, لا تقدموا رمضان بصوم يوم ولا يومين إلا أن يوافق ذلك صوما كان يصومه أحدكم. In the hadith, Rasulullah says that do not precede Ramadan with fasting a day or 2 before. So a day or 2 before, make sure you're not fasting right before Ramadan comes in, as this may weaken a person. So right before Ramadan, don't fast unless you are a habitual faster. And you constantly fast, and you can fast those days, and it will not weaken you in welcoming the month of Ramadan. But if a person is not used to fasting, then you can fast in the month of Sha'ban, but when it comes to the very end, then leave those days without fasting, so that you can enter into the month of Ramadan strong and energetic. From the things that we should be, one of the ways that we can enhance our mindset in the month of Ramadan, or the upcoming month of Ramadan, is to have a mindset of positivity and joy and happiness about the month of Ramadan coming in. The month of Ramadan is a blessed month. And there are 2 ways in which people can look at this month. You can look at it with joy and happiness, that this is the month of forgiveness, the month of mercy, the month of forgiveness of sins. And we can look at it in this way. And another person can look at it as in a way of hardship. I have to get up very early in the morning. I have to fast. I'm going to be thirsty. I'm going to be hungry. I have to stand in Salat Tarawih long time. My foot is going to get tired. No doubt there are difficulties that will come in the month of Ramadan. But the mindset of the believer should not be to look at the difficult aspect of the month of Ramadan, but focus on the good, the mercy of the month of Ramadan that it brings. The forgiveness, the blessings. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. Say, in the grace and bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His mercy, in that let the believers rejoice. Let them be happy about it. And this is much better than whatever else they are acquiring. So we should be in a positive mindset. Don't look at the potential difficulties of the month of Ramadan, even though, of course, there are difficulties. It won't be easy. But look at the benefits that Ramadan is coming with. When we enter the month of Ramadan, it is very important that we start off the month correctly. We start off the month right. And this is something emphasized in the Sunnah of Rasulullah, starting things off right. This is why when we eat, what do? We mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before we eat, so that we can have blessings of that food that we're eating. And when a married couple, would marry off in front of Rasulullah, he used to invoke Allah's blessings. He would say to them, Barakallahu lak wa baraka alayk wa jama'a baynakuma fi khayr. May Allah's blessings be with you and upon you and unite you in all that is good. Recognizing the importance of starting off the marriage with blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything we do, we should start it off correctly with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we want to start off the month of Ramadan correctly with blessings, then we need to avoid things that can ruin the Ramadan, such as debating and arguing. And this is something very common that happens at the beginning of the month of Ramadan. There's a lot of debates and argumentation regarding the mood sighting, regarding certain fiqh issues. And people start off the month of Ramadan arguing and fighting and yelling and screaming. And this can take away the barakah of the month of Ramadan. So we have the masajid, administrations of the masajid, who are determining when the month of Ramadan is going to begin. We let them do carry out their responsibilities, and we should not involve ourselves in these types of debates and bickering of the moon sighting and whatever else. And this can ruin a person's Ramadan or ruin the blessings. So start off the month of Ramadan correctly and start it off right. Don't start it off arguing and debating people and ruining your Ramadan in the process. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, أَفَمَنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى تَقْوَى مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانٍ خَيْرٌ أَمْ مَنْ أَسَّسَ بُنْيَانَهُ عَلَى شَفَا جُرُفٍ هَارٍ فَانْهَارَ بِهِ فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ. Allah says, then is the one who laid the foundation of his building upon righteousness. This foundation was laid upon righteousness. It began correctly. It began on the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is the one who laid his foundation, the foundation of his building on righteousness, on taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is he not better, and seeking his approval, not better than the one who laid the foundation of his building on the edge of a riverbank, about to collapse, and so it collapsed with him into the fire of hell. So starting things off right, anything we do, starting it off right upon the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that will determine our success in that endeavor. Whether it's building the masajid, whether it's starting the month of Ramadan, whether it's starting our meal with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it's starting off our marriage with invoking the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is very important to start off things right. And so when the month of Ramadan comes, make sure that you are starting it off correctly. From the advices that we should pay attention to as well is that we are not only responsible for ourselves, but we are responsible for our families as well, especially the men folk. We are responsible for our families, our wives, our children. We are responsible to ensure that they are benefiting from the month of Ramadan, that they are maximizing the month of Ramadan. Don't just focus on yourself and leave your family to fend on their own. It is very important that we make sure that our family is also fasting, that our family is also praying, that our family is getting up, and they are doing as many good deeds as possible. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا. Oh, you who believe, save yourselves and save your family. Save yourself and save your family from the fire of hell, the hellfire, which is the fuel of which is men and stones. And in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla praised Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. He praised him, and he says that وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِ مَرْضِيًّا. Ismail alayhi salam, Allah praises him. He says that he used to command his family to prayer and command his family to zakat, and he was well pleased with in front of his Lord. So, not just focusing on ourselves, but also focus on our families and make sure our families are also benefiting from the month of Ramadan. And lastly, we need to, and this comes back to what we mentioned at the beginning of the khutbah, planning and preparing for the month of Ramadan, is identifying where are we going to shine in the month of Ramadan. What is the thing that's going to bring us closest to Allah in the month of Ramadan? What are the things that will earn us the mercy and forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan? And there are many types of good deeds. But not every one of us is able to do all the good deeds. Not everyone is able to do every single good deed. And there's some of us who will be able to focus on the Quran and finish the entire Quran and recite the Quran maybe more than once and have a very good and strong connection with the Quran in the month of Ramadan. But this might not be possible for everyone. Some of us might not have reached that level where we are able to recite the entire Quran in the month of Ramadan. So there are certain good deeds that might be more accessible to you and others that are not as accessible. So what you need to do is you need to identify those deeds which are accessible to you and you are able to excel in. Maybe you are not a person who is able to recite the entire Quran, but you are able to give a lot of sadaqah in the month of Ramadan. Maybe you're not able to stand and pray for hours and hours of the night, but you can volunteer in the masjid and give your services and help people in the month of Ramadan. So there are certain things that you might excel in and other things that you may be weak in. You should not neglect anything though. Right? We should not neglect anything. Even if you're not strong in the Quran, don't leave it off completely. Pick it up and try as much as you can. Don't leave off anything. But there are certain things that you might excel in and you might be stronger in. Take advantage of those things and use those things to propel you to achieving success in the month of Ramadan. So these are some very important advices, and it is once again very important that we mentally and physically prepare for the month of Ramadan if we want to attain success and earn Allah's mercy and forgiveness in the month of Ramadan. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Everyone just make sure you come up, make space for everyone who is coming in the back. Inshallah, make space for those who are coming. Inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. While we are, of course, preparing for the month of Ramadan, and Ramadan is on our minds and in our hearts, we should not forget that we are in the month of Sha'ban, and the month of Sha'ban has its own independent virtues. And the month of Sha'ban is not just the month that comes before Ramadan. Right? Many of us, we think of Sha'ban, and automatically we think of it as just the month that comes before Ramadan. And this is why Rasulullah says that many people neglect this month. He was asked, why do you fast so much in the month of Sha'ban? And he said, ذلك شهر يغفل الناس عنه بين رجب وشعبان بين رجب ورمضان وهو شهر ترفع فيه الأعمال إلى رب العالمين فأحب أن يرفع عملي وأنا صائم. Rasulullah was asked, why are you fasting so much in the month of Sha'ban? And he answered that this is a month that many people neglect. Many people, we only know this month as the month that comes before Ramadan. Alright, and if you consider, sometimes you'll have a celebrity, somebody who is very famous and well known. And they might have a younger brother. And everybody knows that celebrity. Nobody knows the younger brother. They only know that younger brother as this is so-and-so's brother. Alright, this is so-and-so's brother. They might not know his name. They don't know his accomplishments or his virtues. They just know him as this is such and such's brother. But Rasulullah wants to tell us that Sha'ban is not just a little brother of Ramadan. Sha'ban, it has its own virtues. It has its own independent virtues. So what did Rasulullah say? He said that this is a month that many people neglect. It is between Rajab and it is between Ramadan. But don't overlook it. Don't just look at it as the month that comes before Ramadan. This is the month in which Rasulullah says that the deeds are raised up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The deeds are raised up on a yearly basis. All of our deeds are raised up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Rasulullah says that I want that when my deeds are raised up, that I am in a state of fasting. And this is why he was increasing his fasting in the month of Sha'ban. So the month of Sha'ban is not just the month that comes before Ramadan. It's not just the month that everybody associates only with Ramadan. The month of Sha'ban has its virtues, its own independent virtues. And so take advantage of that. This is the month in which deeds are raised up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One might ask, what is the significance of deeds being raised up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Allah knows our deeds anyway. Right? Allah knows that what we have done, what good deeds we have done, what bad deeds we have done. Allah knows it already. He doesn't have to wait for it to be raised up before He knows our deeds. So a person might ask, what is the significance of deeds being raised up? And we can say to that, if you think, for example, of when you are attending a graduation ceremony, or you're attending an award ceremony, you're graduating and you're getting an award, and you go up to get that award. If you don't go up, if you don't attend the ceremony, do you still get that award? Yes, you still earn that award. Right? If you don't attend the graduation ceremony, have you still considered to have graduated? Yes, you will still get the diploma in the mail. But it's not the same as going up and getting and having the honor of receiving that award or receiving that diploma. And so the deeds going up, it has a symbolic virtue that these deeds are being presented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though He already knows. He knows what deeds you have done already. But these good deeds are going up and they are being presented to Him, And there is a grand ceremony that is happening. And this is happening once a year in the month of Sha'ban. And so we want to make sure that when our deeds are being presented in this ceremony, that we are in the best state possible. And this is why Rasulullah would make sure to increase in his good deeds in the month of Sha'ban, and he would fast frequently in the month of Sha'ban, to the point where they said they did not see him fasting any other month more than the month of Sha'ban, excluding the month of Ramadan, which is of course the obligatory fast. So while we are preparing for the month of Ramadan, do not neglect the month of Sha'ban. The month of Sha'ban has its own independent and special virtues, and let's take advantage of that. And this will help us to prepare for the month of Ramadan and enter into the month of Ramadan with strength, with vigor, with energy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us all to reach the month of Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم ارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله يرحمني ويرحمكم الله. إن الله يأمركم بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد